Optic Watch Reviews, 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 Optic Watch Reviews.
Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, collection review for Stanislav. Hey Stan, how you doing? Very cool collection there, you seem to have them all on the winder. All of them actually are automatic, there's no manual wind. And we start here, we have Maurice Lacroix Icon Blue Dial. The same there as I have, a very practical watch, very comfortable, it's sporty but it's classy. And yeah, it doesn't cost a fortune. Neither does this very Cartier tank looking Longines. It's a bit of a cop out from the Cartier, or usually you'd go for a reverse. So I feel like you didn't want to spend too much to tick that box there. Speaking of ticking boxes, now we go GMT with a ball date GMT all green with that very special type of loom, little tubes that they have. Very interesting system. And then Super Ocean. I like these older Super Oceans. I like the ones with a bit of yellow on it as well, but you went for the blue. Very cool watch, ready for action. Absolutely nothing wrong with a Breitling diver. And then we have a very, very clean Grand Seiko, ice cool, and I can tell that you're living in a pretty cold climate. Sometimes I miss the snow and the ice myself here in Hong Kong. And although you have one model per brand policy, you seem to have two Grand Seikos for some reason. But this one, I like it even more with GMT complication and spring drive caliber. How can you say no to that? Very clean, very beautiful watch. Suits you well, apparently. And then you have a very cool diver there from Omega. The flagship, really, from those new Speedmasters with that wavy gray dial and the blue bezel. You seem to like blue quite a bit. You've added also the Rolex Milgauss Z Blue with a beautiful blue dial and the green crystal, bit of orange. You gotta have a Rolex, and that's the one for the cool kids. I have the same, and I also have the Icon. So overall, interesting colors, good brands, solid stuff. You didn't go overboard with one brand or another. And Stanislav is not asking me what I would sell or anything. He's interested in adding a chronograph, and his mind first goes to the new Speedy. But he doesn't want to have two of the same brand, although he has two Grand Seikos. The Speedy is great because it's a foundation piece, and I think it's going to keep its value. Rather than a new one, which actually, unfortunately, has a problem with the bushing that needs to be replaced. So be careful if you're getting one of the previous shippings. I think maybe the later ones, the latest ones, maybe will have it fixed. But otherwise, you're going to need a trip probably to the service center. Unfortunately, maybe I would go for the previous version. So the new one, they changed the bracelet. It tapers a lot. It's a bit surprising. It's very vintagey looking. And they changed a few things. Very good looking watch. Very nice. But yeah, there's this issue that I mentioned. The previous one didn't have the Meta certification, coaxial, but you know, it was a classic manual wind. Very good feeling. Winding actually. A very solid bracelet, which I personally like a lot. I've always loved looking and wearing my Speedmaster. Just a wonderful piece, and sometimes the watch doesn't need to be more complex. But okay, they've refined it. If you find that one a bit too plain, some people, you know, they don't gel with it. To me, it was love at first sight. It's not necessarily the most accurate of watches, but it can be set very accurately. If it's not, you can always bring it back to Omega. They do a wonderful after service, and it's a bulletproof watch. You know, I play tennis with it, and it can take the knocks. Consider the Tokyo 2020 edition. I think the green one with a bit of gold there is really special. I love that gray dial. And these are going to be collectibles. So if we want to care a bit more about the value in your collection, and staying with that in mind. Recently, I've added Tudor 79280, the Prince date, which have gotten stronger and stronger on the market. The previous ones, the big blocks, are really quite expensive, but you can still get the later ones with the rounded cases, which I prefer. I feel that they look so much more like a Daytona. And these are rising with a still. You can still find them. You can find them with the steel bezel or with the black bezel, even a rotating GMT bezel. Lots of different colors. There's the red is very popular in Hong Kong. You can find green, yellow, black, silver, white, with or without the tiger mention. They were amazing. There's a nice bracelet. The later versions got their own bracelet. The earlier ones had actually the oyster bracelet. Very cool watches. Of course, let's not forget the Daytona. Affordable ones, sort of, would be the Zenith in two-tone, the Zenith caliber ones. And then Breitling, the new releases are really cool. If your wrist can handle 42 millimeters and a bit of thickness, those Daytona there are really fetching. Although inside it's not a Breitling caliber base, and it's got a module there for the calendar, but cool looking watches. It's got lume. It's probably bulletproof compared to many other chronographs. The one to get is this one, blue dial, lume, Breitling B01 caliber base, or B03, and it's a manual wind, so it will be quite interesting. And it's a split second chronograph, which you can't get at that sort of price point under $10,000. Now, of course, one of the watches that people will think of straight away if you think of adding a chronograph will be the new Tudor chronographs. They've refined it a little bit. You've got the date, the lume, and yeah, very, very beautiful looking. The black one, white one, they both look quite good. I had a chance to check out the white one. Yeah, the screw down pushers, it's a bit of a hassle, but at least you have a bit more water resistance. And overall, a very nice presentation. I feel it's a bit, too much of a bit more wannabe, of course, because it has elements of the Rolex, the Daytona in the design, but at the same time, Tudor has a lot of charm. And at the base of this watch, you have a Breitling movement, which is probably a good thing. So far, we haven't heard of any issues with that one. If you want something a bit more blingy, don't forget they did a two-tone version. Those will be a bit larger, but quite fun as well if you can find them second-hand at a good price. Why not add that flavor into your collection? Now, let's go to the Zenith. I had the Chronomaster T, 38 millimeters. Then I had the A384 reissue of the first El Primero. And then lately I've added the modern one, the Chronomaster Sport, which is causing a lot of controversy, but it's really well made, and it has a 1/10 of a second chronograph, which makes it a bit more usable. And it's got the pump pushers, which I like a lot. And all three of these watches have a display case back, so you get a lot for your money. You get a bit of horology, interesting bit of horology there. So that would be welcome as well, I think, in your collection. So very interesting brand, and you can pick up those Chronomaster T's, the previous one, with or without the calendar, at reasonable prices. The A384s and the A386 also lose quite a bit second hand. So I wouldn't pay full retail for those, of course. Chronomaster, the new Chronomaster Sport, a bit hard to get, but you like sports watches, and I think this one kind of ticks all the boxes. It's got the date and the lume, so it's very usable, good water resistance. The movement has some nice refinements. It's a 1/10 of a second, so it's a very interesting addition there to the Zenith range. Of course, they're gonna release a lot more. They just did release another version, another watch with the same caliber. Not as much value retention, but this one is going to remain quite special. Overall, I would go Speedy first. I think nice manual wind. It's always cool. It's a nice feel, a nice connection to the watch, and it would add something pretty solid into your collection. Now, you didn't ask me my opinion about whether you should reduce or anything. I think after a while, you're going to gravitate a bit more towards the quality watches of your collection. And if I was to reduce to the essence and the beauty of your collection, I would go Milgauss to have a Rolex. I would go Seamaster because it's such a competent diver. And I would keep the black Grand Seiko because it's got the GMT complication and the cool spring drive. And I would add a nice chronograph from Zenith, from Tudor, or from Omega, Speedy. I think you would have an amazing 4-piece collection. And the reason why I like the Speedy Tokyo Olympics with the green bezel is that I would replace the ball with that. And so you would have a 4-piece collection that really does everything and has a great mix of colors. I feel like the two Grand Seikos may be a bit too much. The Longines is not at the same level as the other watches. It's nice, but I think you just wanted to tick a box, perhaps. If you love it, great. More power to you. Same for the ball. But I think you have the GMT complication with the Grand Seiko there with a bit more finesse. The Icon, no point selling that. There's not much residual value. It's cool. But of course, the Milgauss sort of covers that the blue dial thing. And the Breitling is cool. Maybe you can keep it as a sports watch when you don't want to damage your Omega Seamaster, but your Seamaster, yeah. So, yeah, the one that for me has the most charm would be this lovely Tokyo 2020 green one. You can still find it. Let me know, guys, what you think. Thanks, Stanislav, for your message, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye-bye.